Iran Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has made his first official remarks on Israel's strikes on the country. He says Iranian officials should determine how best to demonstrate Iran's power to Israel after the attacks. 4 Iranian military personnel were killed, but Tehran insists there's been limited damage. Israel says the strikes were a response to an Iranian missile attack earlier this month. In turn, Iran says that attack was in retaliation for an Israeli assassination on Iranian soil in July.
2
nights ago, they carried out a malicious act. They, of course, exaggerated, which is wrong. But at the same time, it shouldn't be downplayed, either by saying it was insignificant or unimportant. The Zionist regime miscalculations must be stopped. They are making serious mistakes in judgment. They do not understand the Iranian people. They have not recognized the strength, capability, creativity, and determination of the Iranian nation. They must be made to understand these realities, and it's up to the country's authorities to determine the appropriate response that best serves the interest of the nation and the country.
We're going to speak to our correspondent, Resul. He's joining us live from Tehran. What do we make of the Supreme Leader's statement?
Well, after the Israeli attack, there were some assessments in Iran that Israel's attack were quite limited and has just caused a very minor damage. So overall, they were regarded as insignificant. But today, the Supreme Leader of Iran is saying that, well, actually, it was not insignificant. It shouldn't be underestimated. And he's saying that Israelis' miscalculations must be stopped. So when he says Israel's miscalculation must be stopped, he's referring to the element of deterrence. Rob, previously, all of the Iranian attacks on Iran were aiming to achieve 2 things. First, to reestablish a deterrence, and second, to do that without leading an all-out war. But now, as Israel responded to Iran's attack, now it's clear that Iran partly failed in terms of establishing the deterrence, and that's why the Supreme Leader is referring that. So compared to his previous statements after the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran or after Israel's bombing of Iran's embassy in Damascus, definitely the tone of the statement is softer, but he is still extremely cautious and calling on officials to remain on high alert until the deterrence is reestablished.
What do the people feel about this following the attack by Israel?
Well, there is a clear sense of relief here. So there was an expectation that Israel's attack could be quite damaging, could be quite harmful, and maybe bring the life to a halt. But now that it was a limited attack, so there is a sense of relief here. So there hasn't been a major interruption in the daily life. People are still continuing with their routines. The business is continuing as usual. However, still people are well aware of that it's not over, as the war, Israel's war on Gaza and on Lebanon is still continuing. The things could escalate anytime, particularly due to the Lebanon, because now Israel is focusing its attention on Hezbollah, and Hezbollah is the greatest Iran's asset in the region. So the things still could go out of control anytime.
Resul, thank you very much indeed. Resul Serdar talking to us from Tehran there. Menachem Klein is a professor of political science at Bar-Ilan University. He's joining us from West Jerusalem. So thank you very much indeed for being with us. What do you think Israel's authorities are going to make of the way and the tone of the statement that was made by the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei?
Israel is waiting. Israel does not know, so this is the way that I read the statements coming out from the Israeli establishment. Israel does not know yet what does it mean, especially today when the Israeli state and society commemorate the fallen soldiers and the victims of Hamas attack since October 7. This is the Jewish calendar official commemoration day, as the government decided. So on the one hand, Israel commemorates its fallen civilians and soldiers. On the other hand, the Israeli establishment, including Netanyahu, they want to rebuild, to regain legitimacy and public support. And it was not, as I see it, not by accident that yesterday Israel retaliated to Iran. So today, Netanyahu and his cabinet can build on what happened yesterday.
For years, the aggression that's been going on between Israel and Iran has essentially, I saw it described in one article as being fought in the shadows, being fought by proxies, is being fought through cyber attacks and so on. But what happened over the last couple of weeks or so seems to have brought everything out into the open. Do you think that we're now seeing in inverted commas, normalization of a conflict going on between Israel and Iran?
I hope it will end when a ceasefire achieved in Gaza, following by a ceasefire in Lebanon. But these are two different fronts. What you related to is the front, Israeli attempt to stop the nuclear project that Iran is making. So it is a different front than what we have now. It is a very conventional weaponry, conventional weapons and missiles are exchanged between Israel and Iran. This is a different front. Iran wants to help Hezbollah, that wants to help Hamas. So Iran is involved in a war by proxy, and Israel expanded it to hit Iran. But Israel is very careful, following United States advice. I would say not to go for a total war against the Iranian nuclear project. So to keep it limited to a certain extent, we're very much under control. I hope that this will continue, but this front should be closed down if a ceasefire achieved in the Gaza Strip.
Can I, forgive me for interrupting you, but I would just want to ask you about the situation regarding the ceasefire. Of course, we're hearing over the last few days about the journey made around the Middle East by US Secretary of State Antony Blinken. We hear that he's going to be having talks, or has been having talks with Arab nations in London. But as yet, there doesn't seem to be anything substantial happening out of that. How confident could people be, given what we've seen over the last several months, that a ceasefire is even possible to negotiate?
It's very difficult because there is no word power that works hardly to achieve a ceasefire. The American administration is busy with the next week elections. It is an outgoing administration, a very weak administration. The race does not look good for the Democrats. Definitely Israel, Netanyahu in particular, build on Trump's victory. So according to Israel or the parties involved in the conflict, they still have time. So they continue fighting full force.
Menachem Klein, we appreciate you. I apologize for interrupting you. Unfortunately, time is a little bit against us. But Menachem Klein, we do appreciate you being with us, sir. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.